Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are doing something a little different. We're pulling out 3 specific documents from the Stack Ancient Texts, actually, and we're going to try to solve a bit of a mystery.
It really is a mystery, or at least an anomaly.
Right, because usually when you're dealing with ancient genealogy records, specifically 1 Chronicles, which is one of our main sources today, it is just the driest reading. It's lists, it's names, it's A begat B, B begat C.
It's like an ancient phone book.
Exactly, with 0 plot.
It's data entry. It's there to establish lineage, not to, entertain you. You scan it, you don't really read it.
Until you hit this one, this speed bump in the text. My name Jabez. The text is just cruising along, listing names, and suddenly it slams on the brakes for 2 verses. Just 2. To tell us about this one guy.
And his prayer life, of all things. That is the question. Why preserve this specific request? We're going to look at the prayer of Jabez. And I know it's been popularized, but we're stripping all that away. We're just looking at the raw text. And we're pairing it with 2 other sources, Daniel 2.21 and Ecclesiastes 3.11.
Okay, why those 2?
Because I don't think you can actually understand Jabez's prayer without understanding the cosmic machinery that makes it even possible.
So the mission is to connect the dots between one guy asking for a favor and a God who, according to Daniel, removes kings and sets up kings.
Exactly. It's the intersection of the micro one man's life and the macro, the turning of the ages.
Okay, let's start with the micro then. Let's start with Jabez. And I have to say, looking at the source notes on his name, this is rough.
It is heavy. It really is.
The text says, Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and Jabez Mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him with sorrow.
Because I bore him with sorrow, just imagine.
I mean, I have to play devil's advocate here. Is this just ancient cruelty? Who looks at a newborn baby and names them Pain? Because the source says Jabez literally sounds like the Hebrew word for pain or sorrow. He was branded from day 1.
It feels incredibly harsh to us now, but you have to get into the headspace of the ancient Near East. Names weren't just identifiers, they were often seen as prophetic. They described the character or maybe the destiny of the child.
So if the birth was traumatic or the family was in a bad situation.
Right. If she was grieving a widowhood or a famine, naming him Sorrow wasn't just an emotional outburst. It was a statement of fact. She was marking his reality.
So she's saying, this child represents my pain.
And potentially, this child's life will be defined by pain. It's a label that carries a lot of deterministic weight. You were sort of expected to live up to your name.
Okay, but that makes the very first thing we hear about him so much stranger. Before we even get the name, the writer tells us, Jabez was more honorable than his brethren.
That's the tension. That is the entire conflict of the story in one sentence. You have this label, sorrow, and then you have a character assessment. Honorable.
How do those 2 things even coexist?
I think the honorable part comes from how he handled the name. He didn't just accept the label. A less honorable man might have become bitter or just resigned to a life of grief because, hey, that's my name. Jabez seems to be fighting a spiritual battle against his own biography.
He's honorable because he refuses to let sorrow be the final word.
I think so. Which brings us to the prayer itself. He knows he's starting from a deficit, so he calls on the God of Israel. And he makes 4 very specific requests.
Yeah, let's go through these slowly because I think they get misunderstood. The first one.
Oh, that here.
You would bless me indeed. Now pause. To me, this sounds a little generic. Like something you say when you don't know what else to pray. Bless me, bless the cat.
Right, it can sound like a filler word. But look at that modifier. Bless me indeed.
Yeah.
The Hebrew construction there, it implies intensity. He isn't asking for a casual wave of the hand. He's asking for real, tangible, substantive favor from God.
But isn't that selfish? God, give me good things.
If you look at it in isolation, maybe. But remember his starting point, sorrow. He starts at a disadvantage. So asking for a blessing here is an act of defiance against that. He's asking for a rewrite. He's saying, my name says curse, but I am asking you for a blessing.
It's not greed, it's a request for a counter-narrative.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see that. He's trying to balance the scales. But then we get to the second part, and this is where I get skeptical again. He says, and enlarge my coast.
Expansion request. Yeah.
Enlarge my coast. I mean, come on, this sounds like a straight-up land grab. Is he just asking for more real estate? Is this the ancient equivalent of praying for a mansion?
It's so easy to read it that way, especially for us. But coast here means borders, territory, or boundaries. Yes, in that culture, that means land, but conceptually, it means capacity. It means influence.
But why does he need more? If he's so honorable, shouldn't he be content?
That's a great question. But I'd argue that because he is honorable, he has a responsibility to ask for more. Think about it. If you have wisdom, character, goodness, should you keep that contained in a tiny box? Or should you want that influence to spread?
So you're saying he wants a bigger platform because he has something worth exporting.
Exactly. If a greedy man asks for an enlarged coast, he just wants to hoard. If an honorable man asks for it, he's asking for a broader sphere of stewardship. He's saying, God, I can handle more responsibility. Give me more room to operate.
Okay, I'll buy that. Stewardship, not just accumulation.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with getting a bigger coast. The bigger your yard, the more grass you have to mow. More influence means more problems.
Which is exactly why the third request follows immediately. He doesn't stop. He says, and that your hand might be with me.
The text defines this as God's guidance and power.
It's the crucial safety mechanism. If you get the enlarged coast, but you don't get the hand of God, you are destroyed. You collapse under the weight of your own success. We see it all the time.
So Jesus is smart enough to know that he can't manage the upgrade on his own.
Yes. The hand implies presence. He's saying, I want to go to new places, but I refuse to go there alone. It's actually a very humble prayer, disguised as an ambitious one.
I can't do this by myself. It's a package deal. Don't give me the gift without the giver.
Precisely.
Then we get to the fourth part. And this is the one that circles everything back to the beginning. This is the real aha moment for me. He prays. And that you would keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me.
That it may not grieve me.
The source notes point out the wordplay here.
It's more than wordplay. It's like a legal argument. His name Jabez means pain or grief. So when he prays that it may not grieve me, he is using the literal root word of his own name.
Wait, so he's explicitly quoting the reason for his name.
He's quoting the prophecy spoken over him at birth and asking God to nullify it. He is saying, keep me from evil so that I do not become my name.
That is profound. He's asking for protection, not just from outside enemies, but from his own identity, from the script that was written for him.
It's a prayer for liberation. He wants to be Jabez the honorable, not Jabez the sorrowful. And he knows that evil, whether it's external trouble or internal sin, is the thing that would drag him right back into that sorrow.
And the verdict. The text is pretty blunt about it.
And God granted Jabez that which he requested.
Case closed.
Prayer answered. The coast was enlarged, the hand was there, and the sorrow was kept at bay.
So on one level, this is a great story about a guy who prayed for a promotion and got it. But we have these other documents, Daniel and Ecclesiastes. They suggest there's way more going on here than just one guy getting some extra acreage.
Right. If we stop here, we risk treating God like a cosmic vending machine. Insert prayer, receive land. But the Daniel 2.21 text pulls the camera way, way back.
Let's read that. Daniel 2.21 says, God changes the times and the seasons. God removes kings and sets up kings. God gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Just think about the scale difference. Jabez is worried about his property line. Daniel is talking about the rise and fall of entire civilizations.
God removes kings.
Why does that matter to Jabez? Okay, imagine you're Jabez. You just got your coast enlarged, you've got your land, but then the king changes. An invading army comes in. The laws change. The economy collapses.
Your enlarged coast means nothing if the kingdom falls apart.
Exactly. Personal success is incredibly fragile if the geopolitical situation isn't stable. That's why connecting Jabez to Daniel is so critical. He isn't just asking for land. By asking for God's hand, he is aligning himself with the being who controls the kings who control the land.
That's a massive insurance policy. He's bypassing middle management, the kings, and going straight to the CEO who changes the times and seasons.
It's the only way the prayer is secure. If God is just a local deity who can, find your car keys, he can't guarantee your future. But if God is the sovereign who sets up kings, then he has the authority to grant a permanent blessing that no earthly king can take away.
There's another phrase in Daniel I want to pull on. God gives wisdom to the wise.
Yes.
That sounds circular. If they're already wise, why do they need more wisdom? Shouldn't he give wisdom to the ignorant?
You'd think so, but I think it means God gives further insight to those who are already oriented toward truth. And I think Jabez fits this description perfectly.
How so?
Well, he was honorable. He had the wisdom to know what to pray for. He didn't just ask for gold. He asked for the hand and protection from grief. That is a wise prayer. And because he approached God with that wisdom, that understanding of his own need, God granted it.
So the wisdom in Daniel is the key that unlocked the blessing in Chronicles.
They're locked together. You can't separate the character of the person asking from the response of the sovereign.
Okay, so we have the personal request from Jabez and the sovereign power from Daniel. But then this third source, Ecclesiastes 3.0 long one, introduces the most complicated variable of all, time.
The one we all hate.
The text says, God has made everything beautiful in his time. Also, God has set the world in their heart so that no man can find out the work that God makes.
There are two massive ideas colliding in that one verse.
He has set the world in their heart. The source note says this can be translated as eternity.
Right. Olam, eternity, the big picture. This implies that we humans, you, me, Jabez, we have this hardware installed in us that gets the concept of forever. We desire eternal significance. We want our coast to actually matter.
We want to see the whole movie, but we're stuck in one scene.
Exactly, and that's the frustration. The verse says, no man can find out the work that God makes. We have the desire for the infinite eternity in our hearts, but we're trapped in the finite, in time.
So how does this link back to Jabez?
Jabez prayed for a change. Enlarge my coast. That's a desire for something bigger. That's the eternity in the heart kicking in. But Daniel and Ecclesiastes remind us that the answer to that prayer happens on God's clock. God has made everything beautiful in his time.
So Jabez might have prayed that prayer for 10 years before it was granted. We don't know. The text just gives us the result.
We compress the timeline when we read it. We see the prayer and then the answer, and we think it was instant. But Ecclesiastes reminds us there's a time for everything. The removing of kings takes time. The enlarging of coasts takes time.
That's actually really comforting, because if I pray a Jabez prayer today and I don't wake up with an enlarged coast tomorrow, it doesn't mean it wasn't heard.
No, it means you are subject to the times and seasons that Daniel talks about. You are part of the work that God makes, which Ecclesiastes says you can't fully figure out yet.
It's a cognitive gap. We know what we want, the blessing, but we don't know the schedule.
And that requires trust. Jabez didn't just need land, he needed to trust that the God of Israel was orchestrating the timing perfectly.
I want to circle back to protection in this context. If God is moving kings around and time is this mysterious unfolding thing, asking to be kept from evil feels like the most practical request of them all.
It is, because in a world of shifting times and seasons, you're vulnerable. If you're standing on a tectonic plate that's moving, which is basically what history is, you need a stabilizer.
The hand of God is the stabilizer.
Right. Keep me from evil isn't just don't let me stub my toe.
Yeah.
It's don't let the chaos of this world, the rising and falling kings, the shifting seasons, don't let that chaos penetrate my soul and cause me grief.
It goes right back to the name. Don't let the external chaos confirm my internal sorrow.
Yes. Let me stand secure even when the seasons change. And that is a beautiful thing, as Ecclesiastes puts it.
It's amazing that we started with a dry list of names, and we ended up with a blueprint for how to interact with the creator of the universe.
That's the power of these hidden gems. You think you're looking at genealogy, and suddenly you're looking at a theology of sovereignty.
So let's summarize what we found. We have Jabez, a man literally labeled sorrow.
Who refused to accept that label as his destiny.
He prays a 4-part prayer. Bless me, enlarge my coast, be with me, and protect me from grief.
And he prays it to a God who is powerful enough to rewrite history, like we see in Daniel, and who orchestrates the perfect timing to that answer, which is what Ecclesiastes tells us.
The result is that the honorable man gets the true blessing. His whole biography is rewritten.
He goes from a cautionary tale, I bore him in sorrow, to an absolute success story.
I think the takeaway here is pretty striking. We all have a bit of Jabez in us. We all have labels. Maybe your mom didn't name you pain, hopefully not, but maybe you carry a label like not smart enough or always broke or just average.
Or too late, that's a big one. It's too late for me to change.
Right. We accept these boundaries. We accept our coast as it is. This is as far as I go.
And the Jabez text just challenges that resignation. It asks, why not ask? Why not appeal to the one who sets up and removes kings?
So if Jabez could redefine his identity through a single prayer, what sorrow or label are you accepting today that might actually be changeable?
That is the question. Are you living in the name you were given by your circumstances, or are you living in the blessing you could ask for?
And remember, even if the answer doesn't come instantly, Ecclesiastes reminds us, he makes it beautiful in his time.
We have the eternity in our hearts to desire it, and we have the God of Daniel to deliver it.
That's a good place to leave it. A man named Sorrow who didn't end in grief. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the archives.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you in the next one.